Welcome to this Experts of the Americas conversation, a signature of the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center, and today with the Caribbean Initiative at the Atlantic Council. I'm Jason Marczak, Senior Director, and I'm pleased to be welcomed today with Melanie Chen, Board Director of the Atlantic Council, but incredibly important for this conversation, the founder and also the visionary of the Caribbean Initiative that we started at the Atlantic Council just about 2 years ago. I'm going to talk to Melanie today about the Caribbean Initiative, some of the achievements it's had, her vision for it, and also how it's seeking to overcome some of the different challenges that exist in the Caribbean. Melanie, starting off with the original idea in founding the Caribbean Initiative, a conversation actually that was started many years ago and that came to fruition only 2 years ago. For you, what motivated you to want to start a Caribbean Initiative at the Atlantic Council?
Well, first, Jason, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the Caribbean Initiative. I decided to create the Caribbean Initiative to raise awareness about the Caribbean's priorities with both US and global stakeholders, and to show the importance of the region to the wider international system. Having said that, second, it was also to deepen US and Caribbean engagement because we have shared interests and challenges. However, having said that, I think the ultimate objective of the Caribbean Initiative is to find tangible solutions to some of the long-standing challenges facing the region, and that are things like financial inclusion, food and energy security, and previously access to vaccines.
So as you mentioned, the Caribbean is facing many challenges on different fronts. How do you see the Caribbean Initiative, especially from the get-go in founding the initiative, playing a supporting role for the Caribbean, helping to overcome those challenges?
Well, first, I think the challenges facing the Caribbean are not just only the Caribbean. A lot of it is also facing the hemisphere. And I think it'll take global teamwork to help mitigate some of these challenges. Having said that, I think some of the challenges like climate change disproportionately affects the Caribbean. And so I think raising awareness both in the US and globally helps. I think we should also recognize that other countries also have an interest in the Caribbean, which is the UK, Canada, the EU, France, Spain, China, India, all have regional interests. And I think, we can be a forum to help bring awareness to these challenges and help a sort of global teamwork to help mitigate this.
And that's exactly what we do at the Atlantic Council writ large. It's working in collaboration with partners all around the world to solve challenges. The Caribbean has historically been underlooked, underappreciated so far as the value, the importance of the Caribbean, and your ideas will help us to address that longstanding challenge. Now, we always like to be visionary around here, so looking out to the next 5, even 10 years, from your perspective, what do you hope the initiative will have achieved?
We don't purport to try and solve everything because we can't. So I think what I hope the Caribbean Initiative will be able to accomplish in the medium term, I think are two probably main issues. One is financial inclusion, and the second is energy security. And why financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is important for the region because it intertwines with so many of the challenges facing the region: energy and food security, stability, access to growth. And until we have a properly functioning financial system that allows proper flows, we need that to stabilize the region. Of course, there's a balance because, I think the main issue is the balance between what is needed for anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing, and so the regulatory side of it, with trying to create a robust and accessible financing system, especially for those people who don't have access to the financial system. And I think that's that's the crux of the issue, is getting that balance right. We have been working on it, and we're trying to get a workable solution that allows both the regulatory side to, that they get comfort, but at the same time that it's commercial and it's accessible to most citizens in the region.
Yeah, we've had so many achievements, even in just the short term in the 2 years that the initiative has started, from helping with vaccine access to moving forward the importance of financial inclusion, de-risking, working with Congress, working with Treasury, bringing people together as we do at the Atlantic Council always, public sector, private sector, people that otherwise wouldn't be thinking through how they could be solving their challenges and bring them together in the environment in which we could actually come up with conclusions, recommendations, and ideas that could actually be implemented. And so I think that goes specifically to how you're seeing the next 5 or 10 years of the initiative.
Yeah, and financial inclusion is also needed for energy security, because we want investment in energy security. And what does that mean? I mean, we have sort of two sides to the coin. The Southern Caribbean has a lot of hydrocarbons, and it has a lot of investment, especially from the US, over the last 100 years. So their energy costs have been relatively low. But if you look consolidated across the region, the energy costs are much higher. They're about 3 to 4 times higher than the average what a US citizen is paying. And that impacts tourism, it impacts daily life, just daily infrastructure, telecoms, healthcare. So we're also looking to help address, and the working group that we have, the energy working group, is trying to create a roadmap in order to implement that. And that, of course, needs investment. And that's why we also need financial inclusion, because if you need investment, you need also a functioning financial system. So they're both intertwined. Yeah. And so I hope, going back to your original question, that the two areas that we really make an impact will be, in the medium term, financial inclusion and energy security.
And that's, of course, what we're laser focused on right
exactly.
now. I want to switch topics for a moment. We're in March, we're International Women's History Month, and every year around that time, the center does a campaign, Mujeres at the Table, Women at the Table, in which we promote the importance of women's leadership, gender equality issues. You're prior, in addition to founding the Caribbean Initiative, you also have a long career as an incredibly successful business person. What's your advice to women leaders, especially women leaders of the next generation, this generation or the next generation, insofar as how they should be trying to rise up in their professional career, some of the lessons learned that you've had as a very successful women leader?
I think first is believe in yourself. I think the Caribbean has been much more progressive on certain gender issues. We have amazing women leaders. We've had women governor generals, women presidents, women prime ministers, ministers, business leaders. So I think you have to have that inner belief in yourself. Of course, there's still quite a lot to achieve, and we're not quite there yet. But I think in certain ways, we should see it as an achievement in the Caribbean. I think we're, compared to some developed, in brackets, nations, we have made much more progress. I think the second thing is that you will face hurdles. Now, women face hurdles, but also so does everybody in life. Yeah. And I think you have success in that is that how you turn around the situation. And you'll always find a difficult situation, but you have to learn to turn it around, have a thick skin. And I think there is a mindset in the Caribbean that supports women, and I hope that continues and that we continue to allow women to flourish. However, we do have domestic violence issues, we still have gender-based discrimination, and that has to be a priority. Yeah. And a way to do that would be to empower women financially. So I think that is also an important issue.
And as we think about the work of our financial inclusion work thus far, but also the next phase of it, broader inclusion, giving women the access to financial resources is absolutely fundamental to hopefully combating some of the gender violence that we see. I think those are great messages about leadership for women, but frankly for anybody insofar as how you can be an effective leader. Now, there's many people probably watching in the region right now. So what's your final message to them as the founder of the Caribbean Initiative?
Well, first, thank you to everybody. We've had, I think, enormous cooperation support from, Caribbean leaders, from, a cross-section of society in the Caribbean, different industry sectors. Every time we hold a roundtable, people have been willing to spend time and effort to help us think through these issues and hopefully come up with concrete, tangible solutions, because that's what we're about. So first, thank you to everybody, because that's been really, really, encouraging that we've had so much support. I think the Caribbean Initiative hopes to just elevate global awareness about the priorities facing the Caribbean and to actually allow the diaspora to come together to work to, at least in the first instance, in targeted areas which have the most impact for the region, to come up with tangible solutions. And many nations can play a role, but in particular the US, you're our neighbor. We share a lot of shared values. There are issues as well, but there's a role that I think the US can play as a sort of multilateral global coordinator in helping us, meaning the Caribbean, advocate on some of these issues. And that would, I think that's the right way forward.
Yeah, and I'm biased, and I'm sure, but I think both of us are on the importance of the Caribbean looking into the future, right? I think that we've long taken the Caribbean, the relationship with the Caribbean for granted, but I think that looking into the future, it's going to be increasingly important to solidify those ties with the Caribbean, not just with the U.S., as you're saying, but also with the broader global community, because of the challenges we're seeing on a global scale have particularly severe impacts in the Caribbean, and hopefully the ways in which we seek to resolve those challenges in the Caribbean can also provide lessons for the broader way in which the world seeks to deal with these challenges. So, Melanie, thank you again so much for joining us as part of this Experts of the Americas series, and of course for your vision and for founding of the Caribbean Initiative. Look forward to the next time we get to have a conversation. Thank you all for watching.